Welcome back to another episode of the Future Jobs Podcast, where we uncover the bold ideas, inspiring journeys, and innovative tools shaping the world of work and entrepreneurship. Today, I'm honored to have Christine Hebel, affectionately known as the Free Money Queen. Christine is the founder of Free Money U, an engineer turned entrepreneur and a powerhouse run strategist who has helped businesses access millions in non repayable funds. But her story is also deeply personal. When her teenage son wanted to launch his first business, instead of relying on the bank of mom and dad, Christine helped him secure real grant funding, teaching him independence, resilience, and resourcefulness at just 14 years old. That spark grew into her mission to show entrepreneurs everywhere how to break the cycle of financial dependence and build sustainable business fueled by opportunities they didn't even know existed. So, hey Christine, welcome to the podcast. How
Hi,
have you been?
I've been well. Thank you so much for this invitation. I absolutely love your mission, and it aligns perfectly with why I started doing what I'm doing. So thank you for having me here today.
It's an honor to have you here, and oh my gosh, your story and your child's story is just enough to inspire. At just 14 years old, he thought that which normal kids like us don't even think about that. So you're finally here to inspire our teenagers as well. Different other located in other places to inspire them as well to think about not to be just dependent on their mom and dad and their bank, to just start by your own. So, Christian, could you tell us what is your story?
Sure, thanks for asking. Like you mentioned, my son started his business at the age of 14. Um, so his story is going back that he had health challenges, and we worked with a naturopathic doctor who put him on a gut repair diet. Excuse me, my nose itches. Exciting stuff coming, I think, is what that means. So during that journey, we were at a farmer's market and we found these little things called microgreens. And if you haven't heard of microgreens, they're something worth looking into. It's the stage right after sprouts. So we probably, most of you have eaten maybe alfalfa sprouts or mung bean sprouts, something like that in some of the food that you've had. Well, by planting them in a tray and letting them grow to about day 7 instead of eating them at day 3, the nutrient content is so much higher. And yet they haven't started developing the anti nutrients. So they very much were a product that helped my son heal not only his gut, but the inflammation throughout his body. And fast forward to COVID in 2020, when I don't know what it was like in Pakistan, but in the United States, the produce was incredibly hit hard by all of the shutdowns. And so, like a lot of products you couldn't find on the shelves, and a lot of people took to, like us, putting a garden in. And Connor's like, Mom, we need to teach people how to grow microgreens. So, in 7 days, you can be eating live, fresh, nutrient, and pesticide free food that's much more nutrient dense than what you would go to the store and get anyway. So at 14, he started Amelia Island Microgreens, putting together kits to teach people how to grow their own food. And it became pretty apparent, like my background is in electrical engineering, so I am a systems person. They taught me zero to do with how to run a business of my own, just how to be a great employee, but nothing to do with how to run a business. No, like how to start a business with a 14-year-old. And the bank of mom and dad really felt the pressure of that. And I really was starting to feel like I was failing my child. fortunately, through the Pediatric Pain Foundation at a camp we were at, we became friends with a family whose daughter had similar challenges as my son. And she had written millions of dollars in grants for nonprofits. And she said, Connor, let me teach you how to write grants. His third grant, he won $10,000 to remove 98% of the plastics. And pretty soon I started getting phone calls asking my friends, asking me, because we live in a small town, asking me out for coffee. And can I show them how we did it, how we wrote our grants? And every time we would leave, I would feel such gratitude of being able to pay it forward. And my son would poke me on the shoulder and say, Mom, you're really good at this. So about 6 months later, the phone calls kept coming in, and I realized that I needed a way to teach more than just the people in my community. And so I put together with a team a set of AI tools and a course to teach people how to write grants. And what I found is it's been a blessing, because even the people who don't join the course, which is like the easy button, the fast button, but just the knowledge that for-profit businesses can get grants has been such a game changer for so many people that I've met. So I'm really happy to be here today to kind of get the word out that there are funding sources other than using your own bank account or your mom and dad's bank account, because that creates a lot of stress in your business. And what we need is to get past that initial, it's kind of like rolling a boulder or moving a piece of furniture. The hardest part is overcoming that inertia. The inertia is what keeps the thing to the earth. And once you can push past that inertia and get into flow, things work a lot easier. And it is really true when it comes to cash in your business. So I hope that that helps. I hope people understand that there are things like grants that are available for for-profit businesses. There are other funding sources as well. So just look for those, because there's nothing like infusing your business with 10, 20, $50,000 of cash.
Exactly, Christian. And another thing, your son's journey is, somehow similar with mine as well. At 14, I started
Mm.
this podcast, and by now I have recorded over, maybe it's almost 500 podcasts near to. So this is
Wow.
probably 450 episode. So like it's really amazing, and it's very true. We just have to keep pushing ourselves through the things. We have to look for the things. Through internet we can now search for a lot of stuff. We have mobile phones, we have access to laptops and many other devices, which we didn't had before. So it's the opportunity that we should grab. So Christine, let's start at the beginning. I am very curious, and I hope my audience are, as well. That when your son first said he wanted to launch a business, what went through your mind as a mom and as an entrepreneur?
So for me, because of my past story about myself, I knew at his age I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I did not want to have to learn all the things, like how to do the finances, how to do the marketing, how to do all the things. I knew that wasn't for me. I just wanted to go to work and I wanted to come home. So when my son decided, I mean, at the age of 3, he sold a rock to a gentleman coming out of a store. Like, I knew at a very young age that this kid was going to be an entrepreneur. So there was a bit of fear for me of all the things that not only did I not know, but that I didn't necessarily want to know. But because it was my son, I supported him, and it has been an incredible journey into the next phase of my life. So I'm so grateful that I embraced that. But I really want to go back and touch on something you said about your podcast and about starting your journey. And that is that you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I'm sure when you started your podcast, that there for a while it must have felt like you were just shouting into the void. Like, is anybody out there? Is anybody hearing me? And it has been a lot like that in my son's journey. Is at first feeling like, is anybody even hearing me? He started a YouTube channel. um, the first 10 videos took him a year because he would literally had such anxiety that he would be on the floor crying, and I would say, son, it's not worth it, you don't need to do this. And he looked at me with terror in his eyes, and I didn't understand it in that exact moment, but I've come to understand that that terror was, I don't want to do this. And if you allow me, or if I allow me, is more like it, because I was allowing him. His terror was, if I don't do it now, I will never do it. And that is far worse than facing the fear that I'm feeling at the moment. And so it was a slow progress that first year. Like I said, only 10 videos, but he got those 10 videos done, and now he can do 10 videos in a day. So if there was a word of wisdom to share from our journey of me watching my son and supporting him, is it's not the speed that you go, but it's never stopping. Unless what you're doing is completely not the right thing to do, and you'll know that, like, oh, this doesn't work, this isn't an alignment. But if it's in alignment and you're just struggling to keep going, it's okay to go slower than everybody else. Don't judge your journey by somebody else's, but don't ever give up on the thing that lights you up inside, and to keep going.
Wonderful. And you mentioned about my journey. So actually, um, I wasn't doing the stuff for the views and for the viewership. So I actually didn't notice how many views I am getting on my every episode, and such stuff. I just had my own motivation. I was doing that. I still don't have like that concentrate and focus on the views. Still I don't have. So some children have this kind of thing, but what Connor was doing, what was because he wanted to spread the awareness for the other children as well, which is really important.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really great point. I'm really glad you brought it out. There's a saying, I don't know if it was Napoleon Hill, Winston Churchill, some wise person way back, older than me, believe it or not, um, that said, if you do what you love to do, you will never work a day in your life. And so I love that your journey was just to do the thing and not to have this goal of financial or views or subscribers or whatever that looks like. Because when you do it just for the joy and the gift of giving what's inside of you out, it truly does make it not only easier, but I think it must feel more fulfilling, like you're doing it because you know what you have to gift. I love that.
Thank you, Christine. Many parents instinctively reach for their wallets than when kids want to start something and such. Why did you decide not to be the bank of mom and dad?
Well, I wish that I had decided a lot sooner than we did. Um, it was just becoming a burden on the finances of the whole household. And like I said, it really wasn't my wisdom. It was the wisdom of our friend who said, "Let me show you." And so here's really fun. Connor, with his first grant, was able to he won $10,000 from FedEx, and he got rid of 98% of the single use plastics out of his packaging. And so that's why I started doing what I'm doing, is because I know what that did for us. It took the burden of the finances off of the family, which can be very hard on a family unit. And it created more momentum in his business. And so for me, with my company is Free Money U, and we teach people how to use AI. We have curated a bunch of AI tools that make grant writing so much easier. And you can actually write a grant within an hour. And so we just say do like 4 grants a month. And I have people all over the world. I have a lot of people in Canada. I have some in Australia. And what we do is we work with them to just make sure those grants are available before they get started. And then if they do, then we walk right by them side by side. So it's fun. I love giving back in a way that was given to us.
Wonderful. You've described that $10,000 FedEx grant your son won as a turning point. What lessons did that single win teach both him?
Ooh, interesting. I would say that you're not in your business alone, that there are resources that you can reach out and find. And in this world of AI, if you're not leaning into that, if you're not having conversation, if you're not asking the questions to AI that you might ask your best friend or Fahad, like, how did you do this? You are really missing a great opportunity. So definitely lean into AI with caution. It's not perfect for sure. And also how much easier things are when you do get past that initial momentum. They say that 50%, over 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And the number one reason is lack of funds. Um, that's why I was, like, so pleased when you said that what you're doing, you were doing just because it's what brings you joy, or whatever that motivation is. It wasn't the viewers, it wasn't the money, you were just doing it because that relieves so much of the stress of trying to be successful. Like, how do you define success? Maybe something to look at. Am I defining it by something that is causing me stress? Because if you can take that stress off, what happens is people are attracted to you. Instead of you trying to chase them, when you are just doing it out of the joy of your life, people are attracted to you. They call it attraction marketing, and it is by far the easiest and the most rewarding way of marketing yourself.
Exactly. And another thing is like if you have started your business or podcast or whatever, if you have something, um, the main thing which we can call, which handles your finances, so it's okay. Then you can take your podcast, whatever would you like to, and like you can take your podcast as a passion. You can take your podcast as whatever you like. But if you don't have any kind of, you know source of finances, then it becomes, difficult for you to, you know to take more things further.
Yeah, and people feel that. If you're coming at it transactionally, if you're coming at it in desperation, people pick up on that.
Exactly. How did guiding your son through the grant process change the way he viewed business, money, and independence?
Well, for sure, what it did is opened. up his eyes to a broader view or vision of what was possible. There's a great video. I wish I could remember the name of it. For some reason, I always forget. It's on YouTube. But in that video, that 20-minute video, it's the guy talks about big money follows a big challenge. And so if you're opening up to even more, the amount of things that can come and assist you or guide you, um, you just see a bigger vision. You see, I love when I was a kid, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and Mr. Rogers says, always look for the helpers. And when we're in a position of abundance, when we know that there are helpers out there and not just people trying to rip us off or take advantage of us, or like life is hard, like those stories, when we change how we look at things, how we understand the world operating in abundance, then we are open to other sources. Then I've just got to work really hard. Sometimes this is the story that was handed down to us by our parents. You must work really hard. You must go to college. You're going to flip hamburgers. Like all of these stories that adults give us that are well-meaning, but they are not serving us. And so if we can look at some of those stories, like you've got to work hard, you've got, you don't take any time off. When we start to understand that things like a grant can come to us like for free, like just because I wrote in an hour, I wrote a grant, this came to me, and now I can create a box for my customers. Holy moly, who doesn't want to understand that there are other ways that don't just take us grinding and working hard?
Wonderful. So, Christian, you are already into entrepreneurship. You know, when Connor was, born, and he was 3 years old and something, when he made his first sale, you were still an entrepreneur. So, the things which Connor have, of like like a business, a great business handler or whatever, like he have this skill to sail and to be a become an entrepreneur. So was that all naturally, or was he following you, seeing his mom, you know as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? What would you say?
So actually, I was not an entrepreneur. What I knew at a very young age is that I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be an employee. I wanted to go to work at 9 and I wanted to come home at 5, and I wanted to be done with that part of my life. And then I'd have like my family or whatever I did after work. Um, when Connor started as an entrepreneur, we I'm glad you asked this because I think this is really important, is that every entrepreneur has a coach. Every good coach has a coach. Like leaning in, I love this saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So always be looking for the person who can teach you something, open doors to people that you wouldn't have known. And by the way, you belong in every room, and every person who has achieved something started where you started. So you are no less than them. And most people who are successful, if they're truly successful, they will open up their arms to you. If they're grinding and they're worried, then that's when you see doors shut and they're not the right person to be learning from anyway, because they haven't achieved what you need. So get in the right rooms, talk to as many people as you can. Connor has read, I'd say, 150 books in the last year and a half. He's always been a perpetual learner. Just continue to tell yourself you love to learn and be a good student. And really look at those stories, like observe yourself and the thoughts you have in your head. Like me, I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. And so I had to look at that. And really, that story was a story of protection. It was a story that I didn't want to look like I didn't understand something. And it was a belief that I had in my youth that I was lazy. And so I knew I didn't want to do the work that it would take to learn all of the things. Well, once I was able to identify the stories that were holding me back from this amazing opportunity called entrepreneurship, then I could address them. I could see them for it's just my brain's way of trying to protect me. And so then I could tell it that no longer needs protection. And then it opened up my ability to step into something new and different. And so if you're feeling that resistant, kind of look at some of the stories and reach out to people who can help your journey along a lot easier and faster. You know, we hear about solopreneurs. You can be a solopreneur, but that doesn't mean to do it all alone. Like, reach into books, reach into networking, listen to podcasts like Fahad. Like, all of that is such amazing wisdom. Um, and you can run your business part by yourself, but definitely don't go the journey by yourself.
By the way, Christine is also starting her podcast, after a month or so. So you can absolutely, and I'm very excited for her podcast as well. When I saw the post, when scrolling through Facebook, I was like, it's really good, because the best way to grow your business and spread awareness to start for the people to start their own, to help them start their own businesses is to start podcasting. So congratulations, Christine, for that as well.
Well, and congratulations to you. There's like some crazy number of podcasts that are out there, and very few, I can't remember the exact number, and maybe you know it, but the percentage of podcasters who go past something like five is very small. So I am just so impressed with, like, I don't know that I've ever talked to anyone that has that many podcasts in the can. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, Christine. Um, how does Free Money You provide the roadmap for others who want to break free of the bank of mom and dad trap?
Oh, thank you for asking. So, again, we have put together, my team and I, a series of AI tools that will take you from it. First of all, you create a brand, a document, and we walk you through that through our AI tool. And that will help you everywhere from writing your YouTube scripts to your post to press releases, and even help you write your book. And the reason that's important is that across all of those platforms, you want to have a consistent message and a consistent voice. We know that nowadays, if you're applying for a job, that employer is most likely going to go and look you up online and look at your social media. They're going to look at anything else that is posted about you on, they're going to Google you. And so you want a consistent voice, because when you apply for a grant, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to go and look at your posts and your all of the things on your website, and you want to have a consistent message. You want to be talking about the same things on your YouTube channel and your press releases. Then we move into what's called the Grant Finder, where we actually go online and find grants for you within minutes. And then once you've picked which grant you're going to apply for, we have an AI tool that will actually write your draft for you using your branding document. So it sounds like you and not just AI generated. Promise me that if you're going to go out and you're going to start writing grants, that you do not just plug in AI and let it generate for you because it will sound like an AI generated response and it will get thrown out. A friend of mine was telling me that a funder that they work with got four of the exact same grants that were written from four different people applying for that grant. So obviously, they just plugged it into AI and AI generated it four times for four different people. You don't want that. And then lastly, once you've written it and you've rewritten it from the draft, then we have a tool that looks at it. Everything at that point has been from me telling the funder, this is who I am, this is my project. And then this one is a grant review, as if you went out and hired somebody to review your grant to make sure it had everything that a funder wants to hear. Because there are specific things that need to be in the grant that they may or may not have even asked you. You just need to know that they have to be in there. And so this AI tool, it reviews your grant. Connor took and put the grant that he had written pre AI through that, and it's like, oh, this is very strong and here's where you can improve, and then it rewrote it for him and he was like, so that's very powerful as well. You can imagine if you had somebody to review your grant, the likelihood of being funded for that grant goes way up. So I'm very excited about the tools that we put together. We also have a live tribe. We get together, we mastermind. They say that where two minds come together, there's like a third mind that is created, and it's creation. There are things that the two of you would never have thought about had you not been having a conversation. It really is like a third mind was created, and there is more that comes out of that. So, having that tribe and having creativity in your grants, huge. Plus, just the support and knowing that other people are on this journey and accountability, all of that, and fun. We have a good time. So it's been such a blessing to walk alongside of these people. We had somebody on our last call that she was funded 33% for the Nevada Chamber of Commerce. Their whole year budget, 33% was awarded in that grant. So it's always fun to celebrate with people when something like that happens.
Exactly. It's really wonderful, great to know about all that stuff. So for listeners who feel stuck, maybe they've learned on family money before. What's your empowering message to help them start fresh and break the cycle today?
Well, of course, write your grants. Whether you do it with our course, which is like hitting the easy button, or going out, I learned how to do all this myself. Um, I'm just giving you the shortcut. Either way, get in and start finding those grants that are available for you. It will change everything about your business. Yeah, do it.
Wonderful, Christine. And I strongly recommend listeners, whoever is listening to keep looking for the thing that can help you improve your business, improve your mindset. Keep looking on the internet. You have now access to different kind of devices which you didn't had before, and it's just amazing. It's the era of AI and the fast-paced technology. So thank you so much, Christine Hebo, for giving me your precious and valuable time for the amazing conversation. I hope my listeners and viewers also like the conversation. Inshallah, meet you soon with another amazing podcast with another amazing guest. Till then, stay peace and take care of yourself, and stay tuned for Christine's podcast and for the upcoming